Right then, welcome back to The Explainer. If you're stepping into the world of digital marketing for the very first time, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're walking through the absolute ultimate preparation guide for new digital marketers. We're going to demystify a crucial process that will literally set you up for success right out of the gate. So grab a notepad, get comfortable, and let's get you prepared to win.
Let's kick things off with a rather uncomfortable question, shall we? Are your ad campaigns relying on guesswork? Look, it's a very real, very common fear. You've got a brilliant product, you've set up your socials, and now it's time to run some ads. But staring at that blank campaign screen, the anxiety sets in. Are you just kind of crossing your fingers and hoping for the best? Because let me tell you, spending your hard-earned budget based purely on gut feeling is a surefire way to lose sleep and, well, chuck money down the drain.
Okay, let's dive into this, because we're really looking at a painful reality versus a very secure path forward. When we look at the framework provided by Edward Giles from Forwarded Marketing, the contrast is honestly stark. Without ad research, you're basically building a house on sand. You rely on assumptions. Actually, scratch that. You're not just relying on them, you're risking everything on them. You waste budgets on things people simply do not want to click, and your performance is wildly inconsistent. But look at the alternative. With ad research, your strategies are informed by real data. You drastically reduce your financial risk, and your results naturally improve. It's a complete shift from gambling straight into investing.
To get you to that confident, secure place, here's our roadmap for today. We'll be covering 1. The cost of guesswork. 2. 5 simple research actions you can take today. 3. Decoding competitors and demand. 4. Avoiding common budget traps. And finally, 5. Scaling with strategy. Let's walk through this together.
Right, kicking off with Section 1, the cost of guesswork and the value of preparation. I really want to stress this with the utmost gravitas. Ad research is without a doubt the single most overlooked step in all of digital marketing. Too many of us want to skip straight to the glamorous part of launching, completely ignoring the foundational work required to actually make those launches successful. So what exactly are we talking about here? Well, ad research is the methodical process of studying existing advertisements to understand what messaging performs well, what visuals attract attention, what offers actually drive conversions, and what strategies your competitors are utilizing. I want you to banish the idea that successful advertising relies on some sudden stroke of creative genius. It doesn't. It relies on a proven, steady process of finding out exactly what audiences are already responding to out there in the real world.
Moving swiftly on to Section 2. 5 simple research actions.
Now that we know why it's so vital, let's get into the practical side of things with a step-by-step blueprint that absolutely anyone can follow regardless of experience level. Here is your chronological life cycle for ad research. Step 1. Find ads on platforms. Go exactly where your audience is hanging out: Google Ads, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook ad libraries. Step 2. Look closely at the key elements of those ads. Step 3. Identify the patterns of what works repeatedly. Step 4. Analyze your competitors to see their specific angles. And finally, Step 5. Test and apply these findings to your own campaigns. It's a brilliant logical flow, isn't it?
Let's just zoom in on Step 2 for a moment. When you're looking at real ads in the platform feeds, you can't just scroll past them passively. You have to break them down into these core structural pieces to see exactly why they're performing. You're isolating the hook, the messaging, which is your clear value proposition, the visuals, the call to action, and the offer itself. Every single successful ad is really just a well-assembled puzzle made of these 5 pieces.
Let's focus on the absolute most important piece of that puzzle. Edward Giles defines the hook simply as an attention-grabbing opening. In today's ridiculously fast-paced digital landscape, if your ad doesn't capture attention immediately, nothing else matters. They'll just scroll right past. A brilliant example of a hook from a real ad might be a bold text overlay, saying something like, "Stop wasting thousands on bad lighting," or maybe a highly relatable video clip of someone struggling with the exact problem your product solves. It literally has to interrupt their scrolling instantly.
So, the crucial point here is, you have their attention, you've shown them your message, but now you must close the loop. The call to action, or CTA, is exactly what the user is asked to do next. It has to provide specific, clear direction. For example, instead of a really weak "learn more," a strong CTA from a real high-performing ad might be, "Download your free ad template today," or "Click here to claim your 20% off starter kit." You've got to tell them exactly what step to take.
Once you've isolated those individual elements across dozens of ads, you move straight to Step 3, looking for repeating trends.
Successful ads almost always share specific patterns. You'll notice they favor simple, clear messaging over clever but confusing wordplay. They offer strong emotional or practical value. They use a consistent structure. And crucially, you will see repetition across their campaigns. If a brand keeps running variations of the exact same ad for months, well, that's a massive clue. It means that pattern is working, and you can absolutely replicate that underlying structure for your own success.
Right, on to Section 3, Decoding Competitors and Demand.
And this brilliantly illustrates why looking outward is so absolutely essential. Understanding your competitors isn't about jealousy. It's about market intelligence that actively protects your internal budget. When we analyze what competitors are promoting, how they position their offers, and exactly who they are targeting, those observations translate directly into actionable insights. You begin to clearly see the overall market demand. You understand competitive positioning. And most importantly, you spot the gaps, the opportunities for your own brand to differentiate itself and really stand out to those exact same target audiences.
Which brings us nicely to Section 4, Avoiding Common Budget Traps.
Now, what's really interesting here is as a mentor, I need to offer a gentle caution to protect your beginner budget from the pitfalls that catch so many eager new marketers completely off guard. Research is incredibly powerful, but mindless copying is just as dangerous as skipping research altogether. The most common mistakes include outright copying an ad without understanding the strategy behind it, ignoring whether that ad's approach is actually relevant to your specific audience, getting obsessed purely with pretty visuals while completely forgetting the core offer, failing to test your own variations, and of course the absolute deadliest sin of all, skipping research entirely.
And finally, Section 5, Scaling with Strategy.
We've done the research, we've avoided the traps, and now we really must focus on long-term application. Look, markets change, trends evolve, and audiences shift, so research just sitting in a notebook is utterly useless. Application is what turns that research into real-world results. You use these insights to create vastly improved ads right out of the gate. Then you test variations of your hooks and your CTAs, and you constantly optimize your performance based on the data that comes back. It becomes this beautiful, self-sustaining system of constant refinement.
This entire process is perfectly summarized in the core philosophy from Forwarded Marketing. Edward Giles says, "Study what works, apply with intention, scale with strategy." This right here is your ultimate takeaway today. It is a fundamental mindset shift from hoping to knowing. By putting in the hard work before you spend a single penny, you're building a rock-solid foundation for scalable, highly effective campaigns.
So I leave you with this challenge. What successful pattern will you uncover today? I want you to open up an ad library, pick a competitor or a brand you really admire, and run them through the 5 steps we just discussed. Isolate their hooks, note down their calls to action, and start your own methodical preparation. Thank you so much for joining me on The Explainer. Now get out there and get researching.